Okay, there's the receiver dryer. There's the compressor. And let's see if I can get it. There's the sticker, and can I focus in on it, get it clear? Come on. Right about there, there we go. I can't see where I am, I'm laying on my back. Is there a clutch? Yes, I think there's a clutch. Let me see if I can turn it by my hand. I gotta get this out of here. I'm laying on my back on the floor. And yes, there is a clutch on this one. This is a B&W X5. And let's see if I can get you some more. Now, this is not a condenser. Well, this is a condenser, but there's no refrigerant in it. See my fingertip right there? What, that silver thing with the silver hose line going into it? That is your condenser. Let's start calling these heat exchanger. This is a heat exchanger, that's a heat exchanger. This is a glycol heat exchanger. This is a plate heat exchanger. That is refrigerant to glycol heat exchange. That is your condenser right there. And it comes straight out of the compressors directly below it, and the line that's only a few inches long. Okay, do you see that star nut? See the tip of my finger? See where my shadow, right there, right where my finger's hitting? That is the nut of the hot gas, discharge gas from the back of the compressor that's directly below and behind it, just a few inches away. It dumps all the hot gas into that plate heat exchanger down there, and that is where all the heat gets dumped to. Then from there, it heats up the glycol that came back cool, and it comes out here, and the air cools the glycol, comes in hot, goes out cool from the air, ambient temperature, and then glycol gets pumped back into that plate heat exchanger. No information on this on oil quantities from aftermarket sources. We only have 580 grams. Now on the aftermarket source, it says if this is front AC or rear AC, it gave the same refrigerant capacities that don't make sense, but that does happen in aftermarket sources. So I'm just trying to trace this out. But what will trump everything, if you can't get the factory OEM TSBs, any updates, you got this right here, because your aftermarket sources can be very, very wrong. So you go, well, I'm going to stick in an ounce of oil because it lost oil from the collision because it smashed the condenser. Well, if a refrigerant recovery was performed properly in the first place and no oil came out, and the system only requires 3 ounces of oil, and you go and stick an extra ounce in, because in most OEM things you see now, they say put 45 milliliters of oil in. Well, 28.5 milliliters of oil is 1 ounce. And many say if someone's going to go by that rule of thumb, you know, the thing that gets you in trouble all the time, they go, well, 45 milliliters I've seen written down as a standard, and I'm just going to go by that. So I'm going to stick, that's like 1.5 ounces of oil that you're going to stick on top of 3 ounces. That will give you little issues because you have an extremely small, tiny system here, especially if you only have a single evaporator. Basically, you have no refrigerant flow going through hoses all the way over to a condenser. You have no refrigerant flow, volume, and quantity of oil needed that's being used up by a condenser, because there is no condenser as we know it, just this little tiny itty bitty plate water glycol heat exchanger right there. Only refrigerant quantity you have is the pipes going right back to the evaporator right behind there, and that's it. All right, see you guys later.